Hey, what's up, guys? Pete Alonso here from the New York Mets, and I'm here with Alfred. And I just want to say thank you so much to all you guys for listening to the Metropolitan Report. It's a really awesome show. You got some great insight on Mets baseball, and yeah, it's a great place where Mets baseball is talked about, and we got a lot of really fun stuff coming up this year. And a lot of really great things coming from this team in the clubhouse, and I'm really excited to keep the ball rolling. And it's been such a fun season, and I'm really thankful for everybody coming out to the ballpark and supporting us, and it's just been absolutely tremendous. So thank everybody for listening to the Metropolitan Report, and Alfred, keep doing your thing, and as always, LFGM.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're tuned into an all new edition of the Metropolitan Report. I am your host, Alfred Parsard Jr., and here on this podcast, we talk about any and everything New York Mets. Just a friendly reminder that the Metropolitan Report is a proud member of the Grid Network of podcasts where you can find some amazing sports content from all genres of sports. So here we have it, folks. Opening day, 24 hours away. Well, a little over 24 hours. Um, Opening day tomorrow, which is Thursday, March 30th. At 4 p.m., the Mets take on the Marlins in Lone Depot Park in Miami. But before we get there, we got to talk about this finalized roster. Now, on the last edition of Metropolitan Report last week, I had either Brett Beatty or Mark Vientos making the team. Neither one happened. Both were optioned to AAA. However, Darin Ruf did get cut as I predicted. Danny Mendick did get sent down to AAA to rehab that knee. And my guy, Tim LeCastro, he's on the active MLB roster. Now, again, Darin Ruf had his struggles. He was having a horrid spring, had the wrist injury, had to get cortisone shots repeatedly. Only hit 107 in the spring. His Mets tenure was disastrous. We gave up JD Davis for him at the trade deadline last season, and things just didn't work out. Darin Ruf, who was supposed to be the DH that destroyed left-handed pitching, it just didn't work out for a variety of reasons. Here's what Buck had to say about the Mets letting Darin Ruf go as they designated him for assignment.
You know, that was tough. It's tough. It's probably one of the toughest conversations I've had here, and Billy, but I'm not going to get into that type of stuff. I think Aaron, someone's going to. I think Darin, somebody is going to get a guy that can help him. You know, you got to think about. Do you think way we're constructed? We're trying to be versatile off the bench and be able to do some things. I think with Mark Canha's ability to play first base, and that we wanted to add Castro's the flexibility he gives us in a lot of areas. We don't have to make 3 moves to make 1. We can do some things earlier in the game now that we couldn't have. It was more about what's best for our club right now, and I think in the long run, it's actually what's best for Darin too.
Buck said it was a tough conversation, but how tough could that conversation have been? He's not producing. And again, he was supposed to be the designated hitter that destroyed lefty pitching. That didn't happen. And then while Pete Alonso was in the World Baseball Classic this month, and he was gone from camp, they had Ruff at third base. I mean, at first base, I'm sorry. And he struggled defensively at first. So, we the Mets are in a win now situation. There's no room for guys to have to get their act together in spring training. It's too early to struggle. Now, granted, Tim LeCastro showed out in spring training, and the Mets in recent years have had guys show out in spring training. 2019 spring training, Dom Smith and Pete Alonso both showed out. Last season, it was Travis Jankowski who showed out. So, of course, LeCastro earned the spot. It was a no-brainer, and I was lobbying for LeCastro for the longest. Now, because both Beatty and Vientos were optioned to AAA, which I don't agree with the moves because Brett Beatty is a guy who he was batting well. He had a 355 average this spring. Was swinging the bat very well. Vientos was not far behind him at 285, also swinging the bat well. But Buck sided defense. And with Buck, it's defense. When he sent down Mauricio and Alvarez, defense was the primary reason. He sent down Beatty, and general manager Billy Epler also chimed in on the Brett Beatty situation. He said that when you look at other third basemen in the league, he name dropped primarily Rafael Devers of the Boston Red Sox. He said Devers played 400 games at third base in the minors before he got called up. Beatty has only played 170, so they want him to get some more innings, get more comfortable at third base. And defense is just as much a part of the game as is offense, so I understand. However, I feel like the bat could have compensated for the lack of defense. Just my opinion. I think Beatty could have, you know, benefited from some time in the bigs to start the season. But again, it's impossible to believe that Brett Beatty will not be in Flushing at some point this season. I guarantee we'll see Brett Beatty in the big league club sooner rather than later. But also, the bullpen spots have been finalized. Tommy Hunter did make the team, which is a great thing. Of course, Hunter, a veteran who is a Buck Showalter favorite, so that's always going to work in his favor. Again, the Edwin Diaz injury, devastating, but with the recent pickup of Dennis Santana, as well as having Adam Ottavino in the bullpen, who's had closing experience, David Robertson in the bullpen, closing experience, I think this Mets bullpen is going to be just okay. But I'm okay with all of these offseason roster moves. Again, I was a little bit disappointed with the Brett Beatty, Mark Vientos going away, but again, I understand, and preaching defense to the young guys is important because without defense, Francisco Alvarez will be on the big league club as a DH, and you're never gonna have a sustained big league career if you can't play any defense, let alone try to win a Gold Glove or two. But that's that. And there's another point that somebody had made in the comments. Shout out to everybody who watches this on YouTube. But I do understand the point. You don't want to get a young guy, and have him rot on the bench, wasting his potential when he could be playing meaningful innings in the minors. Understood. But this Mets bench is solidified. So again, LeCastro gets the last spot, and then it'll be Pham, Guillorme, and either Nito or Narvaez, depending on who's pitching. Neither catcher, Omar Narvaez or Tomas Nito, everyday player. So the Mets have 4 position players on the bench. Nothing wrong with that. All right, like I said, opening day is upon us tomorrow, Thursday, March 30th. I'm very excited. The Mets open things on the road. They're going to play the Miami Marlins, who are in Lone Depot Park. And this is not the same Marlins team, folks. This is a very different Marlins team. And usually the Miami Marlins have been the cellar dwellers of the NL East. Every year it's either them or the Washington Nationals at the bottom, and there's not much space between the Marlins and the Nationals. But this Marlins team is different. And before we get into those matchups, you got to note that this Marlins team is also a different looking Marlins team. It's a new look Marlins team. The Marlins here, we'll put the graphic up. The Marlins have several key additions to their roster this year. Of course, Gene Segura, the former Philadelphia Philly. He had an injury-plagued season last season, but still hit for a great average at 277. Also stole 13 bases. He's dangerous, OPS of 723. And then here's an acquisition that the Marlins must have thought very highly of, because they traded their second starter, the number 2 guy in the rotation, Pablo Lopez, to the Twins for Luis Arias. Arias, who hit 316 with 8 home runs, 49 RBIs, 795 OPS. Very rare nowadays in the majors that you get a guy who can hit even above 250, let alone 300. Arias had a great 2022 season, looking to capitalize on that in his new surroundings. Of course, they also strengthened the pitching staff. They got Johnny Cueto, the veteran, who went 8-10 last season, 3.35 ERA, 102 strikeouts and 158 and a thirds innings pitched. Not the same Johnny Cueto who was in his prime with the Cincinnati Reds, but still a serviceable hand in the rotation. And of course, Matt Barnes, the former Red Sox closer, who posted a 4.31 ERA last season. Not his best season, but Matt Barnes looking to bounce back as well. So again, this Marlins team, a new look Marlins team, they're not the same team that they have been in years past. Of course, they still have veterans Jorge Soler, Garrett Cooper, and John Birdie returning. Of course, Soler and Cooper are the power hitters. Birdie is the stolen base expert. And then Jazz Chisholm Jr., the young third baseman, who's also receiving some increased popularity because he's on the cover of MLB The Show 23 this year. He had an injury-plagued season, but he's also looking to bounce back too. That lineup is going to be dangerous. Here's your pitching matchup for the opening day. It's going to be Max Scherzer, Mad Max, against last season's Cy Young Award winner in the National League, Sandy Alcantara. Last season, Max, 11-5, 2.29 ERA, 173 strikeouts and 145 and a third innings pitched. The last time we saw Max Scherzer in a game that meant something was game 1 of the wild card playoffs against San Diego Padres, where Max got lit up and beat up like a human piñata. Hopefully we could get that image out of our minds as Scherzer takes the hill on opening day. Sandy Alcantara went 14-9 last season, 2.28 ERA, 207 strikeouts, and 228 and 2/3 innings. Again, he is coming off of a great 2022 where he won his first Cy Young Award. Not the first time that somebody wins a Cy Young on a bad team, but he's looking to capitalize and have a repeat, if not better, season than last season. Sandy Alcantara, very, very dangerous pitcher, and these Mets hitters are going to have to be on their P's and Q's at the plate. Alcantara throws for velocity, and his breaking stuff is nasty as well. If the Mets are going to want to win this game, they're going to have to exercise plate discipline, which has been an issue for guys like Francisco Lindor and Pete Alonso, commonly swinging and missing at balls either high out of the zone or low out of the zone. So if the Mets want to strike, they're going to have to strike early and knock Sandy out of the game fairly early. But the Mets have the offense to do it. Of course, they have Lindor, McNeil, Alonso, and Marte above all else at the top of that lineup. And Vogelback will be getting the start at DH for this lineup. So I do believe the Mets can win on opening day. I have the Mets winning opening day. It's going to be a close one, probably pitcher's duel. I have the Mets in my scorecard. Personally, I have a prediction the Mets are going to beat the Marlins opening day 4-2. So it'll be a 4-2 score I'm predicting. But again, the opening series, Justin Verlander also has it is confirmed he will start the home opener a week later against the same Miami Marlins. Of course, the home opener, I will be there live and in attendance. That's going to be on Thursday, April 6th. That's a 1:00 game at Citi Field, the new and improved and renovated Citi Field, which the Citi Field behind me won't be the same Citi Field anymore once I get there to take a picture and update this green screen for you. But 1:00 Eastern time, and it's I can't wait to see the new Citi Field and how things are going to play out. I'm very excited. Now, as far as my prediction for the Mets season goes, some people may be disappointed, but I feel like the Mets are going to be a wild card team. I have the Mets in my simulation going 92-70, so they are going to be a playoff team. I think the Mets get a wild card. If I'm being honest and completely unbiased, I think that the division is going to go to the Philadelphia Phillies, and I'll tell you why. Out of all the teams in the division, the Mets, the Phillies, the Braves, the Nationals, the Marlins, we talked about the Marlins acquisitions earlier on. I do feel that the Philadelphia Phillies made the most of their moves last season. Well, this offseason, I should say. the Philadelphia Phillies, yes, they did lose Gene Segura to the Marlins, and they lost Reese Hoskins earlier this week in spring training. He tore his ACL. He's out for the season. But the Philadelphia Phillies, while losing Hoskins to injury and Gene Segura to free agency, have acquired Trey Turner, Taijuan Walker, Gregory Soto, Craig Kimbrell, and Josh Harrison. That's very impressive roster there. Trey Turner, of course, had a monstrous World Baseball Classic, coming off of a great season with the Dodgers. Taijuan Walker wasn't quite the all-star that he was in 2021 last season, but still had a solid campaign for the Mets. Gregory Soto, closer for the Detroit Tigers. Now, his numbers are not crazy saves and save opportunity-wise because it's the Tigers. The Tigers don't win games, but still a flamethrower nonetheless. Craig Kimbrell has he has a track record of a closer, reliever of the year, World Series champion in 2018 with the Red Sox, and still has a lot of gas left in the tank. Was an all-star with the Cubs in 2021. And then Josh Harrison, the former Pirate and Washington National, playing second base, a great utility guy in the infield, and he can have some pop with the bat. I think, and now again, it's a 162 game campaign. Anything could happen, but I've got the Phillies winning the division, and but I still have the Mets with a wild card. Reason being, I knocked the Mets down a peg. I originally had them winning the division, but with the loss to Edwin Diaz, plus this Mets lineup 1-9 this year is the exact same Mets lineup from last season that we had at the end, and that was a Mets lineup that ran out of steam. They didn't get any improved bats for the Mets. Of course, that Carlos Correa deal would have been monumental, but when that broke down, I had the Mets falling a peg. So again, and the loss to Edwin Diaz is huge. It remains to be seen how Ottavino and Robertson will close out the bullpen in those situations. And then we don't know what we're getting with Kodai Senga. Will he get lit up like a human pinata, or will he be lights out and dominant like he was in Japan? So there's only one way to find out, and that's on the road to 162, the road to October, which starts tomorrow. If you guys have any agreement or disagreement with me, feel free to put it in the comments. Of course, I look forward to differences of opinion. If you guys think I'm crazy, feel free to tell me I'm wrong. You think my haircut looks stupid? Feel free to tell me I'm wrong. But I got the Mets finishing in second. Some predictions as far as award winners go. I think Pete Alonso has what it takes to win an MVP. Of course, Pete Alonso, a friend of the show here. You see him in the intro in the beginning, giving me the shout out. I think that he's going to have another 40 plus home run season. I believe that he's going to finish 41 homers. I think he's going to get at least 130 RBI. Pete is just a machine. And I firmly believe that he was put on this earth to hit dingers and drive runs in. So that's my take. I don't see any other Mets contending for MVP. I think Verlander can be in contention for a Cy Young only because he's coming off of a Cy Young season in the AL. But you never know. But I do firmly believe that Pete Alonso, who, by the way, if it wasn't for Paul Goldschmidt, probably could have got an NL MVP last season. I think 2023 is his year to get that award. I also see Francisco Lindor getting a gold glove. Lindor's defense has always been amazing, but he has yet to get a gold glove while playing for the Mets. I think that changes this season. And I also think that Jeff McNeil is going to repeat as batting champion. If anybody can do it, it's Jeff. Lifetime career, over 300 hitter, very rare. I think he's going to keep that up this season. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, you can follow the Metropolitan Report at _Metropolitan_report on Instagram, as well as the Metro Report on TikTok. We're going to get active on the TikTok, believe me. And then, of course, you can follow the grid at _GRYD network, the _grid network on Instagram and Twitter. Again, the grid network. If you like football, we have football podcast, Commanders Demand. I host Rocket Fuel. And we've got the NFL preview show with Ryan Flowers, Cowboys Can Fam. Or if you just like general sports talk, all even podcast with Barry Grant Jr., carving it up with Bryson Carver. So there's something there for everybody. Not to mention the Chaotic Sports podcast with Patrick Brown. If you like basketball, there's the Forum Lakers podcast. So we've got everything for everybody. If you're not tuning into the grid, you're doing something wrong. You don't like sports. You don't like good conversation. But on that note, I've said everything that there is to say. And the only thing left to say is, let's go Mets. We're going to get them on opening day.